What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woohoo! This week, Terminator, Dark Phoenix. No, Terminator.
Almost.
Terminator, Dark of the Moon. Nope. Terminator, there's a lot of darks. Terminator, The Dark World. Man, if you want a sequel to be meh, you put Dark in there.
Dark, yeah.
It'll get the job done.
We'll have to
It'll
find
send
one.
everyone in working the signal that this movie might not be that important to the overall scheme of the franchise. This is the movie everyone will ignore.
We'll have to find one that doesn't suck. I don't know which one that is, but we'll find it.
I mean, there's probably movies that have the word dark in them, but I'm specifically looking
like
for
sequels. Yeah.
Right, like, you know what? The Dark Knight, potentially the best sequel ever made.
There you go.
There you go. So, yeah, so you know what? Win some, lose some. Would I sacrifice the Terminator franchise, the Thor franchise, the X-Men franchise, and the Transformers franchise that was already broken from the second one, for the Dark Knight? Yeah, probably. But also,
right,
I mean,
then.
the X-Men the X-Men franchise was also already broken. None of these franchises were doing great.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
First Thor, fine. Apocalypse, disaster. Genesis, disaster. And then, what's the other one? Terminator. Oh, no. And then, Transformers. What the heck is it called? Transformers Pyramid of Ballsack. Was that one where the robot had balls?
Oh, God. Revenge of the Fallen?
Revenge of the Fallen. Yes, that's right.
All right.
So yeah, if you get
there.
rid of all those, then I don't think it would really matter to any of those franchises. Also,
I
apparently,
guess.
someone warned Insidious. They're making a movie called Insidious: The Dark Realm. Everybody tweet at Insidious or at whoever makes these movies, because isn't there like one guy to let James Wan know to change the name to Insidious: The Realm or The Evil Realm or something. Oh crap! Because then we'd also have to get rid of Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh man!
No, this is we've stumbled upon something.
We really have. That's insane.
I mean, I guess this not like heel turn, like this like because it's never really a handbrake turn to let's make the sequel dark. I would say maybe you could say that Star Trek was a pretty distinct, like we're going from kind of an upbeat, fun little reboot to like we're gonna end this with a big old 9/11 for no reason. But I'd say the other ones are more or less in keeping tonally with the other parts of the franchise. Maybe Thor, they kind of switched a little bit.
So you're saying when it's a dark thing, it's a deliberate choice by the movie runners to say, all right, we're going to switch it up and make it different.
It should be. I don't think it necessarily is. I would say something else I've noticed in these. Wow, these dark movies. I mean, listen. Yeah, they there's a lot that's similar about this. So first of all, they're all pretty bad, except for Dark Knight, which is good. Although Dark Knight Rises, besides
there you
that,
go.
though.
There you go.
Yeah. So then we can even take Dark Knight off the table and put Dark Knight Rises in there. Although they sometimes, no, you know what? They tend to be the third movie in the franchise. Some people count. Well, no, I guess Apocalypse is the third. Who the hell knows? So anyway, they're slightly darker, right? That's kind of important.
Yep.
They tend to feature, although I need to write. Oh, and then we got Army of Darkness, which is terrific. So I'm going to ignore that. You ever watched Army of Darkness, DJ?
I have not.
You know what I'm talking about, right? What's his name? Ash from Evil Dead. It's like he goes into like medieval times to fight skeletons. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I like the Evil Dead movies. I've never been their biggest fan, just because it seems like it's kind of a riff on, not a riff, but it's a
play on
extension. Yeah, it's like an extension of the horror genre. I use this word a lot, but it is like it's a kind of a pastiche of different tropes of the horror genre without being a straight up parody. And I don't have a huge affinity for horror dramas, or horror in general. But then, and I hate the horror. Oh, don't get me started on Dances with Chairs. But then, for some reason, they made this movie where Ash, Bruce Campbell's character, goes back in time and fights skeletons. But he also brings like his car and his shotgun and his chainsaw hand. And it's pretty fun. Okay, so dark movies. I have to make a list so I can look at them all in a row. All right, so we've got.
This sounds like a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
This might be a video. We might have a video.
Man.
So we got Terminator Dark Fate. So no one copy this video. Give me about 2 months to make it, okay? I got a pretty solid schedule with these Defenders videos and some other stuff. All right, Terminator Dark Fate. Dark Phoenix.
You got the Star Trek one.
Yep.
Thor.
Hold on. Star Trek.
You're really going to hand to this.
Darkness.
I feel like this is the point where it's like we play elevator music and,
Yeah, right. Thor the Dark World.
Oh, I have an idea. All right. What
okay.
if I debrief Extra Life and you just say the movies?
Come up with all the movies?
I'll do pauses in the middle, and every time I do a pause, just say a movie.
Hold on real quick before we do that.
Okay.
I want to make sure I don't forget one.
Okay.
So here's the ones well, yeah, I would say we do that, but I have a feeling one of these is going to get lost in the shuffle. Terminator Dark Fate, Dark Phoenix, Star Trek Into Darkness, Thor the Dark World. Which one am I forgetting? Oh, Transformers. And then I guess The Dark Knight. Okay, you do your thing.
I'm gonna start. Whenever you want to interject, just interject.
I'll punctuate with other movies with the word dark in them that don't quite fit this category.
Please do. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about Extra Life, and then we're going to talk about Terminator Dark Fate.
Yeah. So we had a great turnout for Extra Life. We had a lot of people over, played a lot of different games. The team, the BAPS team, raised over $2,000. I'm going to pull up the number. We might have even
Amazing.
Yeah, we got $2,196. Listeners, if you want to be the $4 that puts us over to $2,200, we would certainly appreciate it. Donations
DJ.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Donations are accepted to the end of the year. So $4 and you can get us over to $2,200.
I have a question. How much money are we over our goal?
$596.
Oh wow, okay. I was kind of hoping that my entire contribution would be what put like but it's not. Because I did not do that. Although yours is probably pretty close, right? You were in the fives.
Yeah, I got to 635, and I did move the goalpost, but everyone else moved the goalpost. So
I didn't move any goalposts.
676.
I put out my video, and I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I'm a man of my word.
I lied. I ate the onion. It was terrible. It's probably one of the worst things I've ever done. I almost threw up.
It seemed awful.
I was about to throw up. It was going to be a whole thing.
You did a bunch of bites, though.
I did.
And I don't think...
Like 3 bites?
I don't think there was any world where you ate the whole onion. I think there was a world where you ate a bite of the onion and then gave up, and that would have been disappointing. I think 3 is an acceptable amount of bites.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So we raised a lot of money for... Children's Specialized Hospital in Mountainside, New Jersey. We played some fun games, some interesting games. Blood on the Clock Tower. Nando, you were on the bad team, and I really thought
so good.
I really thought you were going to give it away because everyone was onto your scent, but the guy who was playing the head bad guy, the demon, won it for you guys. So how did that feel?
Well, okay, so a couple interesting things happened. First of all, 2 characters did something in the first round that it was so confusing. I don't remember exactly what it was. Something Michelle did and something another guy did that I was able to pretty much use for the entire game is this like, but what about this, total witch hunt, man. It's a conspiracy because one of these 2 guys must be evil. That was really helpful. Second, and this is where it really got screwy, I thought my head devil or whatever was a different guy for about half the game. So I at one point, and he was so like not like confusable, but he was just asking to be influenced. At one point, I pulled him into the kitchen, and I was like, hey, so what are we going to do? And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, me and you, we're on the same team, right? I mean, I know that. And he's like, I don't know. And then I got enough signals from him that I was like, this doesn't seem, something is off. And I pulled DJ. I said, DJ, who's the devil? And he was like, the other guy. And I was like, but you pointed in that direction. They're on the same couch. So then I
never
didn't talk to that guy the whole game. But I think this dude was just confused enough that, and what was his name? I forget.
Ryan.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Ryan. Not because he's bad at the game, because I was so confusing that I think I threw him off his axis completely, and I always had him in the like team negotiations where we were like, okay, we have to kill someone. And then I accidentally sacrificed Lorenzo because I convinced the team that he was a threat, which he would be whether he was good or bad, kind of. Like he would be the worst. It's kind of like in a zombie movie where it's like we can't, like it's like in like it's like in a certain comic book recently where all the DC heroes are not villains, get zombified, where like at a point they're like, listen, if Superman becomes a zombie, we're screwed. So let's do everything we can to avoid him being a zombie, because if he is bad, we're dead. So kind of like that, like we have to kill Lorenzo because he's just better at this game than anyone else, and he knows the odds, and he will get us. Other than that, though, a lot of fun. I'm always happy to win a game like that. And yeah, and also I think the other problem the group made, not problem, but like a lot of people were speaking up a lot, and that never helps early in the game. Which meant that there was like those people were marked from the beginning, and I don't think the good guy team and just the village in general kind of budgeted out how many turns there were when there were 2 turns left.
Yeah.
It was like, if we execute someone and then the devil executes someone, then we just have to win one more round and we're good. And then those rounds were pretty simple to win once we got to that point. Are You Afraid of the Dark TV miniseries? There we go. Throwing Dark in there. The Dark Crystal.
What is that?
Dark Crystal? It's like that one, they have a show of it now where all the, whatever they're called, Scraxus or whatever. It's like an old Jim Henson puppet, but it's like scary. It's all like, it looks like Fraggles, kind of, except it's like if there's a bunch of Fraggles doing, Lord of the Rings, and then there are these big giant bird monster guys called I want to say it's called the Thraxes, and they all just go, like they speak. This is like the Thraxis Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. I watched about maybe half of this show before I kind of got bored. But yeah, so I would say the Dark Crystal's fun. Okay.
So, yes, thank you, everyone, for your donations. We'll be doing some movies soon from the $100 donations. We'll discuss that later in the show.
That's right. So keep your ears to listen to the whole thing, so you know what the last one's gonna be, or what next week is gonna be, because you never would. Not you never would, but unless you already know what it is, you couldn't guess it. DJ.
Yes.
Let's talk about movies with dark in them real quick.
Uh-oh.
So I have a list of 6 sequels with the word dark.
Okay.
And The Dark Knight, but I'm like 6 bad ones.
Okay.
So you got Terminator Dark Fate, which isn't terrible. I'd say it might be one of the best of these. Dark Phoenix, Star Trek Into Darkness,
Okay.
Thor The Dark World, Transformers Dark of the Moon, and 50 Shades Darker. Now, I have never seen 50 Shades Darker, so I'm striking that from the list. I'm going to talk about things that are similar in all of these movies, and I'm trying to remember what happened in Star Trek Into Darkness. I really can't remember. But okay, so first of all, particle effects. So Dark Phoenix, Thor the Dark World, Terminator Dark Fate to some extent with the liquid metal Terminator. Star Trek Into Darkness, what was the threat of that movie?
All right, here's where it comes. I've never seen Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh, really? It's the one with Khan. Khan, I am Khan, and everyone else is like, okay.
Yeah,
and
I just
like,
never
no,
saw
that's
it.
from the original ones. It's not very good. I enjoy those movies. Like Star Trek, the Star Trek reboots, but it's clearly the bad one. The new one is better, whatever it's called, Star Trek Beyond or something.
The show?
That one's like, no, they made a new movie, like they made a sequel. They took a while, like, between Star Trek Into Darkness, which was the second one in the franchise, which I think came out about 3 years after. I think it was 2012 from 2009. I want to say it took like 5 years and made Star Trek something. And that one's pretty good. I don't even know what that one was called. I would say if you're a Star Trek fan, even more so than the Star Trek reboot, that's the one that seems to feel most like Star Trek. But I legitimately cannot remember what it is, and I opened up like IMDb and was kind of like, okay, let's find it. And there's like a million Star Trek movies and video games and stuff, so it's actually pretty tough. No. It's really tough to figure out which one was the movie. Star Trek. It was Star Trek Beyond. Okay, so it came out. Yeah, so the 2009 was when the original reboot came out, and then 2012 was Into Darkness. 2012 was a terrific year for movies. It was the year where all the bad guys got caught on purpose. It was Loki in Avengers. It was Into Darkness. Oh, wait, Into Darkness was 13. Oh, okay. I'm a little bit off. But then, and it was Skyfall. And then 3 years later, Beyond. Oh, okay. So actually, the timeline's a little different than I thought. The timeline has shifted, DJ. Something is off. Oh, my God. A nexus point. It must be a nexus. Remember the part of Terminator Genesis? By the way, a lot of people told me that they loved our Terminator Genesis episode. Remember the part where Arnold's like, he must have hit a nexus point. What's a nexus point? It's a point in time where something so important happens that it gives us another movie to do. Don't worry about it. Okay. So, okay.
I wish I remembered that. That would have cleared up a lot of questions while I was watching this movie, where I was really confused.
I mean, I don't think I think there's so much going on in this movie as an effort to reset the franchise, but also reconnect it to 2 that it's so confusing. And like it's an effort to reconnect it to the movie and continue the continuity where at the end of the movie everything was fine. Come up with new reasons why everything's not fine that just are like, this? For real? Again? But anyway, okay, so dark movies. There's usually particle effects. So definitely Thor the Dark World and Dark Phoenix were the big ones. Where it was like, the particle effects are in the girl, we gotta get them out. The universe is destroyed, which I think makes sense. And not is destroyed, but like is threatened because... And it makes sense, especially Earth. Earth is very much in danger because by that point they've raised the stakes to the point where like Thor 1 was like, what if they destroyed the Bifrost and Loki killed all the ice people we don't really care about? And by Thor the Dark World, it had to be like, what if the bad guy could destroy all of reality? The highest possible stakes in any of the Marvel movies ever for some reason is in Thor the Dark World. Dark Phoenix is the same. Star Trek Into Darkness, I don't know. I don't remember what Khan wanted. And Dark of the Moon, I'm pretty sure they just wanted to invade, which like is all they've ever wanted. But okay, there's a fake character death in all of these that's pretty like awful. So Terminator Dark Fate actually kind of has one, which we'll talk about, but it's pretty like, kind of tame. Dark Phoenix, obviously, they almost kill Phoenix, but it doesn't work. Star Trek Into Darkness ends with a character death that is immediately reversed, which is just there to like harken back to the original. Thor the Dark World, they fake kill Loki, and then he's back in the movie. And then Transformers Dark of the Moon, which is my favorite one. The government's like, Transformers, get out of here. And they're like, okay, we'll all get on a rocket. And then they all get on a rocket, and the rocket just explodes. And it's revealed that they figured that was going to happen and weren't on the rocket. But it's so funny. I could not imagine a universe where it's like, hopefully the what the heck are they called? The good guys, Autobots. Hopefully the Autobots will save us. Nope, they all exploded on a rocket. God damn it. So a lot of fake character deaths. Also, a throwback character from an older movie is back. So obviously, Terminator Dark Fate, that's Sarah Connor. Star Trek Into Darkness, that's Khan. But a character that like only hardcore fans would even kind of understand. Transformers Dark of the Moon brings back, God, who is it? Sentinel Prime, played by Spock. Leonard Nimoy, and this is maybe the other one, although I'm having trouble with this, does like a fake villain turn. So, Thor the Dark World, again, has that with Loki, where it's like, you thought I was bad, but I'm actually good. Transformers Dark of the Moon has that with Sentinel Prime, where it's like, you thought I was good, but I'm actually bad. Like, that is your midpoint twist of the movie. Star Trek Into Darkness has that with Khan, and with the other bad guy. Dark Phoenix, I don't think has anything like that, really, except for maybe with Beast. I guess Phoenix has that. And then Terminator Dark Fate, I don't think gets that either. I think everybody is more or less what they're saying they are. So yeah, there's a lot of things about these movies that are pretty similar. So I'm assuming we could probably use this to reverse engineer the plot of Insidious Dark whatever. But I don't know enough about...
Someone from before has to come back, but they're different.
Yeah, like whatever. An older Insidious character that you can only understand if you saw the first one will be back.
Okay.
Someone's going to fake die. Someone's going to die about a third of the way through the movie, or maybe halfway through, and then they'll be back for the climax. And that'll be fun. Also, it'll be like super telegraphed, like, well, they're not dead, because they're the main one. And then the fate of the world will be at stake in a way that is much more like, I guess the thing about this kind of is more like the way the stakes of the movie will be upped in a way that is ridiculous, like in comparison to what the other movies are, where it's like, oh, I wonder if Magneto will kill the president, versus like, I wonder if Jean Grey will destroy every planet on the universe, or like, I wonder if Thor will be able to stop the ether from destroying the entire universe, even though the last one was like about a bridge. So yeah, the stakes will be raised to the point where it's like, I wonder if because it's called the Dark Realm, right? So I feel like it'll have to be the villain's plan will have to involve stealing the entire Earth and putting it in the Dark Realm, or unleashing the creatures from the Dark Realm, or something like that. That just seems right.
Yeah.
So don't bother seeing it, guys. No, but let us know. Put a pin in this, because it's by James Wan, so it's probably fine. I hear the Insidious movies are like pretty good. So let us know when this comes out in 2020, if this is the plot of this movie. There might be a trailer. I really don't care. I've never watched an Insidious movie. I don't know what they're about. I don't know if the Babadook is in there. I think Patrick Wilson might be part of it. I know there's a nun. I don't know if that's part of it. I know there's an evil doll. I don't know if that's part of it. I don't know. There's too many good horror movies out there.
I mean, don't the Insidious movies always like fall into like that creepy horror, like jump scary kind of stuff?
Yeah, but then yes, and I think they do well because they're and from what I understand, they're pretty low budget and they make a pretty decent amount of money. But it seems like, and this is what I more or less get from understanding James Wan as a filmmaker, from seeing like Fast and Furious movies that he's done, or the Fast and Furious movie, which I think he did 7, and Aquaman, is it's better. It's got a very specific and kind of just like interesting atmosphere that I don't know exactly what this is, but I think there's enough of that makes it different, and like it just makes it fun to watch. I do think they're probably milking this franchise to a point where it's going to, like, just collapse in on itself.
Right.
Because there's like 50 of them, and it's been like 2 years. Like they came out in 2010. I'm pretty sure there's like 7 movies, but then there's like The Conjuring. I don't know, man. It's too many movies.
Well, I mean, that's for sure. That is a problem we have.
There's just too many movies, guys. Stop making movies. I don't need to see. I don't know. You know what? All the movies coming. I don't need to see Midway. We don't need to make that. You guys can keep it. Put it in a Disney vault. You know what? That is a thing, though. We're gonna get less movies, I think. We're gonna get more Disney
like streaming
Plus
services.
Stuff. Yeah.
There
you go, Scorsese. The theaters are all empty.
Oh God!
Do whatever you want. No,
do you want to do your
streaming movie?
Do you want to do your Twitter rant on the podcast? It wasn't really a rant.
What was my Twitter rant?
Well, you didn't have a Twitter rant, but you had like the thing about Scorsese and the whole nothing's fun or whatever.
Nothing's fun. I don't remember what this was. My Twitter rant was that they should just stop making. My Twitter rant is they're all fine. It's fine. The one that they made is good. The Irishman's great. The Marvel movies are great. Movies are good. Everyone should stop complaining. But if you want movies that are like, I the only part of his argument, and the other part is like, listen, we all understood what you meant. We all knew what you were trying to say with your whole like statement about Marvel movies. You don't really like them. You don't think they're any good. And you think your movies are good. And that's fine, because they're better. They're better than Marvel movies. If I had to take Scorsese or Marvel movies, they're better. Marvel movies are great, but like, I mean, the Goodfellas and stuff, those are like some of the best movies ever made.
It's all subjective, right? They're like different. They're also different kinds of movies.
Yeah, no, for sure. And listen, they would be terrible theme park rides, whereas the Marvel movies are good theme parks.
That is true.
Although I would love to ride the, I don't even know what's a.
I'd ride the Scarface ride. That'd be a sick ride.
He didn't make Scarface, did he?
No, but I'm just in general. I'm just.
Yeah, I would. Oh, I would love the Scarface ride. I would love I'm trying to think of a movie of his that would actually be a fun one, like Shutter Island. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I mean, nobody's perfect. I think Movie Bob had a good rant about how like Scorsese has definitely earned the right to say this. Francis Ford Coppola probably hasn't. Because I don't know much about Francis Ford Coppola, but apparently he just makes lots of movies that are like, I don't know. You watch his rant if people want to understand this, because I really don't. But I would say the main point he makes that I agree with, and like, yeah, he's, Taxi Driver, right? Great movie. One of the best movies ever made. So it's hard to argue with him. Like Wolf of Wall Street, that'd be a fun ride.
That'd be a great ride. Because
it'd have an exciting part where there's almost a boat or something. Remember the part where the boat almost crashes? You get that in there too.
Oh yeah. Or
there's like a yacht explosion or something.
Or the drugged up car thing where he's like on crazy drugs and he's in the car. Like, how fun would that be?
Hang out with him when he's I don't know, trying to do some cool stuff at a party with a lion or midgets or whatever. I don't remember this movie. I enjoyed it though. It's long.
It is
Scorsese
long.
for you, and it feels long. Whereas The Irishman, I would say, doesn't. But what I was getting at with this, something I definitely remember is.
They're different kinds of movie. Okay, go ahead.
They're different kinds of movies. He's earned the right to criticize whatever he wants in the movie genre. But so I think, and I also think there's not like an element of like old man yells at cloud, but like he's definitely like I just don't think he would like them in general. If he just sat down as a theme park thing, I don't think he'd enjoy them. You know, like
yeah. It's fair.
I don't think he sees them the same way that a person who's our age and like enjoys comic book movies sees them. So not even just that they're subjective, that it's kind of like I think there's better people to make the actual good argument that he's making, which is about how Disney screws around with theaters and will say like, you have to play the Avengers Endgame for 5 weeks, even though it'll only make you money the first 3, and you can't play a movie that'll actually make you money. Disney's super like,
yeah.
So like that is. And like he's probably the biggest name in film, so I understand the thought of him saying that. And like just the idea that he's like, well, if someone's gonna say it, he's kind of like the president of films, so he might have to. But I think if someone like James Gunn, who is part of that world, especially when he was fired from Disney, was able to say like, listen, I love these movies, they're great, they're fun, there's some people's like Jurassic Park or Indiana Jones, which are, you know, movies that I'm sure he would consider cinema or whatever. But they are also hurting the way that studios make and market films, specifically because of the way they block up theaters. I think that argument would have a lot more weight, because you would understand the inherent value of those movies. But yeah, I want to make him watch one, kind of. That'd be funny, right? We just sit Scorsese down and make him watch Ant-Man and go like, you're so wrong, man. I don't know.
Or maybe he'd like one.
Maybe he would. I think he'd probably like Iron Man. Iron Man's risky. You know? That wasn't a guaranteed slam dunk, taking one of the least bankable actors at the time, making a movie about a superhero that no one cared about, and self-financing that, like Marvel doing it pre-Disney. So like, I don't know. I just think there needed to be one caveat to kind of level with us. And not his original tweet, but when he went and wrote his article, which, again, he can do whatever he wants, but it felt a little bit like, I think if he had said, like, these films aren't risky anymore, you know, or like, there's some risks they take, but not a lot when it comes to this and that. Because I did read the article that he made immediately, and it also felt like, well, we get it. I don't know. You don't need to say this. Talk about The Irishman. The Irishman's great. Like it's almost like I get it as a marketing tool for them to be like, we'll keep Scorsese in the conversation, and then people will just defend The Irishman like I just did, and that's good for us. But I also think it kind of pulls focus from what, if released on its own with none of this anyway, would still be one of the best movies of the year and would have this kind of unimpeachable record behind it. I don't know. But he could say whatever he wants. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. Okay. All right.
Someone pointed out, and it's funny because when this stuff comes out, you just get a bunch of like crazy stats and stuff. Like he has as many Oscar wins as Suicide Squad, so you know.
Nice.
Yeah, no, he's cool. Suicide Squad sucks. Speaking of Suicide Squad,
what if the sequel to Suicide Squad was like Suicide Squad Dark? I don't know
how you could be
Dark
worse.
Robbery.
Maybe they'd try to shoot the moon, and they'd be like, well, this dark thing pulls everyone else's franchises into hell, but our franchise is already in hell. So what if we use the moon's own gravity to shoot, like we use the dark subtitle to shoot us into good movie, you know?
Maybe.
Suicide Squad, dark sequel. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Deadpool would do that. They should probably do that. So we're talking about a movie this week, one of the dark movies, Terminator: The Dark Fate. You know what, though? Speaking of this, if you want a case study for why this crap doesn't work, it's so like these are all movies, individual movies and franchises, most of which, besides Thor, were separated franchises. None were a cinematic universe, you know? Like there's no Terminator cinematic universe. They're all just and I mean, it's the least cinematic universe of any cinematic universe, because not only does the overall continuity not work, they kill all the movies they don't like, so watching them all in a line makes it worse. But were you to take like the worst version of this, right, would be an entire cinematic universe of movies that were all dark, right?
Oh,
That
yeah.
would ideally be
Oh.
the worst way you could make movies.
Yeah.
And you would create the dark universe. A movie that has one movie about a character that is dead, but he's not. It's full of particle effects. And it's about the world being destroyed. Like, it would be one of the worst movies ever made. And without a doubt, the worst cinematic universe ever created. Right?
Well,
so, like...
Too bad we'll never. Wait, aren't we getting Dark Universe? Isn't it back? I think we covered this.
They're making a Invisible Man movie, but the way I understand it, it's just kind of separate. They put out a trailer the other day. It looks fine. Seems
Okay.
like the whole movie's in the trailer. Probably shouldn't watch it. But if you want a dark, gritty, insidious type, probably horror movie starring classic movie characters like the Invisible Man, this seems like that. So. Some people are happy with it. But DJ, we are talking about a movie that is, boy, is it a dark movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not the darkest of these movies.
I can't tell if you're talking about in terms of like lighting or like
lighting.
Okay. Yeah, not the darkest. So
Not even close.
yeah, there's that.
Perhaps the lightest of them.
There's a lot of daylight movies, which is nice.
Yep.
Daylight scenes. Yeah, it's very good. I mean, the fact that it's not dark. This movie is not very good.
Terminator 1 is one of the darker. It's easily the darkest movie in the franchise. Next to, then I'd say Terminator 4.
4 is the whole
dark.
time is dark.
Yeah.
It's just dark the whole goddamn time.
And then I guess maybe 2, because 2 is closest to being another horror movie with all the Robert Patrick walking through jails. And then it would be this probably, because this at least takes itself seriously. And then 5, because it also takes itself seriously, even though it fails. And then 3, because at many points it's a straight up comedy. So yeah, not even kind of the darkest Terminator movie. And I would say if I had to rank them, besides 4 being where it is, well, actually, no, this ranking's way off. It's definitely not the worst one I've ever seen.
Agreed. Did you see there was a I saw it on Twitter. I wish I could remember where. There was like a graph, like the tomato score of Rotten Tomato movies, and it's like, oh, there's a dip after 2, and then it tanks, and then it's good after and now it's good. You know, it's on the rise with its like 60-something% tomato meter. I found that an interesting graph because I'm like, this isn't an endorsement of this movie as much as well, relatively speaking, it's not terrible. And
yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, but that sucks. Like, that should not be our metric.
Well, it sucks. I mean, it sucks because I think the biggest problem with this movie is it is a movie with the title Terminator in it. I think that is the biggest reason why it sucks, or the biggest reason why it failed, because it has to deal with the fact that it is somehow related to what at least I described last week as one of the worst movies I've watched in years, Terminator Genisys. So almost like with we've done this with past movies. I'm trying to think of one where like the movie itself isn't bad, but because of how poorly the movie that came before it did, no one cares about this one.
Right.
I think if this were movie 5, if this followed Christian Bale and what's his name in the war one, and then there was no Genisys, I think this movie would do pretty well.
You really think it changed because of Genisys? Like in terms
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Do you not? I think Genisys left such a bad taste in people's mouth that they were just like, I'm done with this. Also, I think a lot of people were legitimately confused. Like, do I have to watch the one that sucks to get this one? Like, what is it? Is this a reboot? Which one is this a reboot of? And I think that's a big problem.
I mean, I was definitely confused during this movie. Nando saw, I took so many notes because I was just beside myself. I'm like, what is going on? And it probably shows in my notes of just how confusing a lot of it is. And it's not like in Genisys, where at least Genisys gives you the world was one way and then it was another and now it's not. Like, this movie is just like, let's get into it.
I mean, you know how sometimes, I know Dark Phoenix did this, speaking of movies that are bad. I watched that this week, so that's why it's so fresh in my mind. But I remember seeing it in theaters. It wasn't Dark Phoenix. It was Apocalypse did this. When before the actual movie played, what's her name? Alexandra Shipp, the actress who plays Storm. Did you see this? Do you remember this?
No.
It's like a video of her in like a director's chair, like off duty, but still on the set, and being like, hey, just want to thank you guys. Everybody worked really hard on this movie. The subtext here is that it is bad, but we don't want you to, we want you to feel like nice about it. Don't be mean. I'm Alexander Shipp. Goodbye. Like, I've seen that a couple of times, something similar. It's not always that, but in that case, it was very much like, please don't be mad at us for making this movie. It's bad, but look, real people made it, so say nice things. I think with this, you really could have gotten away with James Cameron on a director's chair, just being like, hey, I didn't make this movie, but just want to explain to you guys, this is a direct sequel to 2, Terminator, Judgment Day. Ignore 3, 4, and 5, especially 5, and especially 3. 4, gotta do whatever you want with it, because, you know, whatever. But this is from the old ones. Okay, enjoy. Because that part is very confusing.
That is true. Oh man, I would have loved like a little note like that, just so frank about everything. Like, yeah, this is kind of terrible.
Like, and like, I think you could say, I think that would help a lot of people get over 6 or get over 5. Having not seen it, I think people like it when a franchise, I'm trying to think of an example of this, but there's plenty of them, when like a movie is rebooted and the general conceit of the reboot, like kind of Aquaman did this a little bit. It's like, hey, listen, we get it. Some of these movies sucked until now. We're going to really try. I think you could go like, listen, we tried really hard with 4. You guys didn't like it. That's fine. 5 was bad, are bad. This is better, and pretend those other ones that you didn't like didn't happen. Because I think this movie does an okay job, if you're not trying to figure out where 3 and 5 fit into it, of explaining the continuity in the story so far. Obviously, there's some things that happen that I'm like, what is that? How does that even fit? Specifically with a certain Austrian muscle man. But besides that, I think Sarah Connor has to explain so much to the other 2 characters that I think you would get most people on board with just all of her like techno babble and like future speak. Not like future speak, but like explaining like what you were saying. Like the future was this way and now it was this way. This happened in the first movie. This happened in the second movie. That's all you get. But yeah, let's talk about Dark Fate.
Okay.
We'll say no spoilers. There's a couple of spoilers. Not really. It's like one spoiler that doesn't matter. I'm trying to think. You know what? Okay, there's 2 spoilers. One you see a mile away. The other one doesn't matter. But we won't mention either of those. DJ, what did you think of Terminator Dark Fate?
It was fine. You know, it's crazy. There's like one part of the movie I found really fascinating, that I wish was its own movie, and we could talk about that when we get into like the spoiler section or whatever. But there was so much going on in the middle bits that I was just like, I don't understand. Like there was just so much happening. Not that I couldn't follow it. It was just, it was too much, basically, is what it came down to. There was way too much going on at certain parts of the movie. And
no, that's like, fair. There was quite a lot.
I was like, I could do without this. Thank you.
I get that. And I think the problem with that, and I think this is where if they hadn't burned all the characters in 5, I think they maybe could have gotten away with making this another John Connor movie. For some reason, you had to introduce so many new characters and reintroduce so many old characters that you kind of had to reset anyway, that there was a lot of like, okay, who's this guy? But wait, why did they know this guy? What can this thing do? Wait, he's here now? And then like, just, yeah, there was a lot of that.
And even just like the I'm sorry, keep going.
No, you say yours.
Just the dumb action stuff at the end. It went on for what felt like 3 hours. Like we get it. Okay, the main character has her moment of I'm empowered now, and then there was like 45 minutes of just dumb action bullshit with the featured Terminator, who I hated. I thought this was the worst.
Really?
Yeah, I was so done with it.
I didn't mind him. I actually
really?
kind of liked him. Yeah, I
Why?
did.
Like,
a couple of reasons. I think it's fun. I think he is kind of like Terminator 2, but even better, I think. I liked he was more like, not like adaptive, but I liked the fact that he got better at being a person as things went. He got like more charming.
There was
one
using
line that as part of it.
There was one line I loved, and that was it.
Well, like there's the bit, so like, oh, and there's some stuff. So there's some stuff in this movie that is legitimately funny. specifically one bit, like one line, which maybe this, I don't know if it's the same one, but something a character says really hit me. But he's called the Rev 9. That's his like Terminator name, even though he's not a Terminator, but like he is. I like that in the beginning he like walks up to a house and he's like, "Where is Danny something?" And then he's like, "I don't know what," and then by the second or third person he meets, he's like, "Hey buddy, how can you help me?" And then by the last person he meets and has to like interface with, he's full on like he's got the right accent. He's
charmer.
Making jokes. Yeah, like I like the idea that not only will a Terminator get better at killing you, but it also just gets way better at blending in, which is a big problem. I do think what that facilitates right about when he gets in a helicopter is when the movie becomes awful. Like not like awful.
Oh God. Yeah.
But when the movie burns all of the goodwill it had created up until this point with me. I liked most of the effects with him. The like the way it built itself felt very much like, and by built itself, I mean like when he split from one to the other, right? He reformed because he's two Terminators, which I don't get. I get it, but like you could just send two Terminators. Like,
that was like my final note, I think, was like if they were the way this movie plays out, if they were to send like two of these guys, it'd be fucked. There'd be nothing they could do.
Well, or you could just send a robot-y Terminator and a liquid metal Terminator, and they just have two. What they have is one that's two, but why? It's like a shampoo that's two in one shampoo. It's like, I guess, but you can also just have both.
It's like weaker when it's split, but yeah, just send two Rev 9s. Unless Rev 9s are in way short supply.
Well, we see them during the future. Like, we see what is sent during the future where I think I have a problem kind of with the blending in part of stuff. I think that's the part that I'm like, do you even really need to do this? Seems like you could know where to go and then just kill everybody there. You don't care. You kind of care, but you don't really care.
Right.
You know? You just want to kill them. That's your goal. Why not just be a weird tentacle monster guy? But anyway, I like that. I like the actor. I like the look. I like the way it formed and like kind of like there's a one bit that's in every trailer where he goes from driving a car as skeleton and man, and he turns skeleton, keeps driving the car, and man forms on the hood of the car. And the way it builds up, I thought was very cool. And then the way that, but it feels like the nano armor from Iron Man, right? Like from the newer ones. But it's the same problem as they did in Infinity War, where it looks great until it gets to that last bit, and then it just kind of blumps together, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they fixed this in Endgame, where it would make the whole thing, but it would make the helmet, and then the last bit was the helmet flipping down, which is like how Iron Man works. I feel like they were just so close. But, yeah, I liked the way it looked. I thought the fights with it were fine. I mean, it's not my least favorite part of the movie because I do think Danny, the protagonist, was. I think out of all the characters, she was the one I was like, I don't care. But
do you know who that actress was? I didn't catch it because I ran out of the theater as the credits rolled.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'll look it up. Terminator Dark Fate. Linda Hamilton. Just kidding. Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, what is it? It's Natalia Reyes, probably. Danny Ramos. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's in show called 2091. I don't know. Seems like she's in a lot of Spanish language television. She's in plenty of shows that the title of them is in Spanish.
Well, if this was supposed to be her breakout, it failed.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I think Gabriel Luna, who plays the Rev 9, I think he comes out of this pretty strong. And I think Mackenzie Davis, who plays Grace, comes out as looking great. So I think she could book a lot from this.
I thought Linda Hamilton was really good. Like
I liked her too, yeah.
I think she came here to do exactly what she needed to do, and she did it, and it came off real well. Arnold was great. Like, it falls apart with her, man. Like, the House of Cards, just, oof.
I agree, except, like, I have that expectation from a Terminator movie, kind of, is, like, the person being protected by the Terminator is probably the least interesting part of the movie, right? Like, T2, Sarah Connor's awesome, the Terminator's awesome, Arnold Schwarzenegger's awesome, Edward Furlong is fine. Like, he's on purpose annoying, whereas this one's just a blank slate. But Grace is cool, T-800's cool, Sarah Connor's cool, Rev 9's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, the plot of this movie is like it's Terminator 2. There's a girl named Danny Ramos who needs to be protected from the Rev 9 for some reason. Rev 9 played by Gabriel Luna. She needs to be protected by that, and she is immediately saved by someone named Grace, who is some sort of time travel something. I guess that's revealed pretty early on. She's like a... what kind of characters? Like Wolverine, kind of. Not really though. She's like who would you compare that to in pop culture?
Like in terms of what?
Like enhanced Robo-Man. They've made those, right?
She's kind of like a cyborg.
Yeah.
That's what I got. I totally got cyborg.
Oh, no, I agree. That's what it is. I'm trying to think of like a character in pop culture that I could be like, she's like this guy.
In terms of like her role?
In terms of just like what she can do. Because she's
Oh,
strong
okay.
and fast, but she has her big like problem, which makes her anywhere near interesting. But I think she works, like Mackenzie Davis works pretty well with it, is like she's like pretty limited in terms of like how much she can do, which is like, man, more movies need to do this. Because you want to facilitate cool, fun action sequences. And I think the movie, and having thought about X-Men movies for the last couple weeks, we really needed Quicksilver to do that. Just be like, do a cool action sequence and be like, oh, okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that for another couple days. You know? Just so that you can't solve every problem the exact same way. Yeah.
It's a good idea.
But yeah, so she's like a robot person. Not robot person, but like enhanced person from the future, from a future.
I think the word they use in the movie is augment. She's an augment.
Yeah, that's true. And she's like, you know, she's kind of a rough. She's like, because up until this point, Terminators have been sent back in time, right? Like, and they're just robots. And she's like a mix of the Terminators and robots, where she both has a mission but is also like just consistently frustrated with the state of everything, which is fun. Sarah Connor shows up for a reason that we'll get to, and then they protect Danny from the Rev 9 for a reason we will explain, and Arnold Schwarzenegger shows up at some point. It's pretty interesting. It's interesting. I didn't hate it. How they explained him, although I understand how Terminator fans that care about the continuity of these movies would be kind of pissed off by it.
Oh, it's screwy as hell. Are you going to say what it is now? Because I want to talk a lot about that.
Well, I'd say that might be the movie's biggest spoiler.
Okay, so we can hold off if you want.
Let's talk first. Okay, so you kind of got at this, which I agree. I think the movie starts pretty strong, and by the third act, it has spiraled far out of control into like the A-Team movie, like just CGI nonsense left and right. I think there are parts of the final fight that work okay, specifically what Grace is doing. I kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah,
but it's so ridiculous the amount of stuff that's happening, and it's just not fun. Like, it's like, I've seen this 7 billion times. Like, I think the beginning fight between Grace and the Rev 9 and that whole scene is pretty good. And I think most of the stuff that follows that is okay. But then I think it really drops off a cliff when they get into a plane.
I think one of the things, too, where I said I had a lot of issues with the Rev 9 was, I think it's just that it's so unkillable that, like, as it's going through, that so much of the movie's focused on it, it's like, I get it. Like, that's a lot of where my frustration came from. Because, like, in T2, I feel like you didn't have this just, like, overbearing, just, like, over and over and over again.
I don't know. I think that was pretty present in T2.
Okay.
You don't think so?
It just felt like more in this movie. Maybe because it was so, like, ramped up that it took so much to take it down, and maybe it's because there wasn't a lot of other stuff going on. I don't know,
that could
felt
be
like
part
so
of it.
much. So, yeah.
It also felt like we learned what we will learn without explaining why is Sarah Connor has become the Terminator. She lives and breathes to hunt Terminators. There are several points in this movie where they got the T8, or not, sorry, T800. I can't remember. Rev 9. They have the Rev 9, and they just leave. I'm like, you're a Terminator hunter, right? Do you have a plan to destroy this? And if you don't, why aren't you doing that? Like, what have you been doing up until this point? Because it seems like you should just be able to kill this thing now. We can get this over with. But yeah, I didn't quite understand that either. What did you think? So we kind of got through most of the actors. What did you think of the effects and stuff?
It was fine. Fine. Can I give it a fine?
Yeah, you can give it a fine. I think fine's a pretty reasonable, that's fair.
I wasn't blown away by any of it. Not even a little.
No, me neither. I think a lot of the stuff that I liked about it was just that it was serviceable, right? Like, it was like,
exactly.
This is a decent car chase. Okay. But there's a lot of other stuff that was like, I mean, at the end, I think it really stinks. But I'm split. I know a lot of people say that the action sequences were cool because some of them were cooler because they weren't all, like, because it ends with a lot of CGI. I felt, as a person watching this movie, there was a lot of CGI pretty consistently, even in bits. There's one shot that's also in all the trailers where Grace, the augmented person, picks up a sledgehammer, spins it around, and hits the Rev 9 like in the head as if it's golfing. I think there were a lot of shots like that didn't look weightless necessarily, but looked very much like CGI models. It didn't feel, but I've heard some people say stuff like that felt really raw, and I think they did a good job of giving most of it weight and giving the hits like almost like in a good video game, like the camera would shake and feel like, whoa. But I still felt like these are CGI computer characters doing this, even when they were just two people.
Okay.
That was my thought there. But every review I've seen of it, no one has said that, so maybe it's just me.
I didn't get much of that. I mean, I didn't get much of that either, to be honest. But I think this movie suffers in a big way of just like keeping my attention span was a problem. I realized that's like not great for trying to be into with this movie, but I don't know. It's not something I noticed, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, to be honest. So,
yeah, no, I mean, I think most people are with you, and I think part of it is just we have seen what the movie ends with all the nonsense. So
much nonsense.
By the time you get to the nonsense, it's just like, well, that was nonsense. Like, and that first stuff wasn't quite as much nonsense. So actually, it's pretty good. But I don't know. I really it just didn't feel like I just want one of these to be real people hitting each other and stuff. Like,
well, we can't
how
go back
hard is
now.
that?
We're too far gone,
right? We have to. It's so easy. Just have them hit each other. It's so much more work to have this. Like, there was some stuff in this that I was like, wow, that's actually pretty good. That was CGI. Like, at one point, someone fires a gun at the Rev 9's face, and it just really rips the face to shreds so much that the nano stuff that's making him the liquid mount, that was gone, and you just have the skull. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool shot. But there's a lot of other stuff that was like, I felt quite overboard, and I think you can just have it be whatever. It doesn't need to be like that. I don't know. What else? Is there anything else about this movie you want to do before we get to the actual stuff?
No,
right.
Not really.
It's fine. I think this is a movie that is fine if you want to see it in theaters. I'd be like, well, there's probably better stuff. At home, on TV, yeah, it's worth a watch.
Oh, for
on
sure.
The Terminator specific streaming service, yeah. It's a bummer.
Oh, man.
I know. They're going to do it, though. It's a bummer because they will definitely get rid of it. Like, there's no way that any of this, continuity will survive. You know?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
If they reboot this, so people have suggested this makes more sense as a movie. I kind of agree with that. But even if they do, it doesn't matter because there's no way there will be more of these specific guys because this movie bombed, by the way, like big.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Yeah, let me find them numbers. I 100% knew it would because there was just no appetite for it. And come on, let's open this up. What do you think it got? Like, how much money do you think it made this week?
Oh, God.
This past weekend. Opening weekend.
There's like nothing else in theaters. 22 million.
Oh, yeah, you're about right. 29.
All right.
But
so I lowballed a little bit.
It's doing quite poorly.
You told me it did terrible, so that was my starting point.
Yeah. If
you just told me a cold guess, I probably would have had something closer to like, I don't know, like 40, 50 maybe, because it's Terminator. I see, and we talked about this last week. I don't know how reliable this franchise is. I don't know how much people are into it. I don't think it has these like Legion fans. The
Legion fans.
Oh,
Legion,
shit,
DJ.
Oh,
don't
God.
even get me started on Legion.
I gotta give them their cut. So I don't. Like, I don't think I've ever seen, like, at Comic-Con a Terminator cosplay, or if I have, I'm just not remembering.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't see it that often either. I mean, it's hard. You have to either be... I feel like I have actually seen a T-1000, but you can't be T-800 because you have to be a big, giant muscle man, and then you're someone else instead, like, you're Captain America.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen a Linda Hamilton, but I can't remember.
So
that'd be the only other one that would make sense.
Yeah, it'd be her with Kyle Reese. So yeah, I'm not surprised this movie did terribly. Do you know if we're done? Because there's no post credits or anything. It sets up for it sets up for future movies in the same way that all of these fucking movies set up for future movies, but not in like a way that has any incredible stakes, you know?
Oh, I think we're definitely done with this part of the franchise for sure.
Okay.
I think we won't get another Terminator movie for quite a while.
Okay. Until we forget, and then they make one.
Yeah.
What happens is, I forget the year they put for when the future takes place. It's like 2040 or whatever. But when 2040 rolls around, we'll have another Terminator.
Without a doubt.
So, yeah.
By then, we'll have... I think we will get one... When is it? 2019 right now. I think we'll get some Terminator something in 5 or 6 years. Who owns this franchise? Universal? Some weird one? I guess not Disney or Warner Brothers. But so I can see whoever owns this being like, well, I mean, we only got so much stuff. Might as well start making more Terminator stuff. Why does it say? It's so hard to find some things about these movies. Full cast and crew. And like, I mean, it definitely, people overseas probably care about it more than you'd expect.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's just popular.
I saw that like Tencent is one of the producers. Is it the same like China Tencent?
Oh, really?
Is it that? I don't know any other Tencent. I just know that there's like a Chinese something or other distribution company called Tencent, and they were one of the producers on this movie. So
yeah, you're right. They also produced Venom, Top Gun. I think they're kind of connected to a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
In the way that like if you want to get a movie put out in China, you probably just have to work with them. It's Paramount seems to be the main creator of these movies, which is like, what do they have? Gemini Man? Like what are they going to use as their new big franchise if they have to do a franchise?
Yeah.
They're trying the Top Gun, Sonic, which Sonic looks terrific now. Like not the movie, but the actual little Sonic guy looks wonderful. I'm trying to find a list of their movies that aren't just the ones that are coming out right now.
Yeah.
But like there's not that many. So I can see them, I guess I have Mission Impossible, that's pretty good. I can see them getting desperate and being like, well, we don't want to, but if we want to make more money, we want to get a franchise going. It's this or Transformers, and that one also is kind of dead. I don't know, Paramount really screwed the pooch. They have some pretty good stuff. They have Star Trek, they have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and those are both also pretty much dead. But so yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. Selma sequel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking at their like movies and just like, I'm kind of out of most of these. Can't make a re-arrival. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot 2, Upsizing, the sequel to Downsizing. I mean, we could make Inconvenient Truth sequels for a while, probably.
They make a lot of weird movies.
Yeah. Well, let's see Elton John 2, Rocket Man. I don't know what you'd call it. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot. I think we'll get one kind of soon, but we shouldn't, actually. Originally I thought no, but now looking at what they've got, I think probably. I know, it sucks.
We'll get their streaming service soon enough, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, it'll be pretty good. I wonder what they're going to do, though, because they definitely don't have anywhere near enough of a catalog to have their own streaming service.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they want one. All right, DJ, let's talk spoilers. Let's nitpick spoilers, all that stuff.
All right.
You have a list of topics. I don't. So let's go with that mostly.
My list is the ravings of a madman.
Yeah. So we'll start there and we'll kind of move forward without spoiling it, but to some extent. DJ, where do we start?
Do you want me to read my list?
Yeah. Let's go one. Well, okay. Yeah, because I think your list is going to get us through. Sorry, I'm just like opening it up. I think your list can probably take us through the movie.
It does
pretty well.
It's chronological order. So I'll just
and the first one's not obvious, but it's like, wow, what a crazy. Well, okay. The first thing I think, yeah, we'll go through that one.
Okay, so my first one is didn't Sarah get a Terminator when she was a kid? Which Sarah is this? And I'm going totally what I remember from Genesis.
And we know that it's not that one, right? Like it
can't be, but I don't know when we learned that. Like I'm aware that it's not that one, but like no one told me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I think they just kind of have to go like no one saw that. I think a lot of it, if we hadn't seen that, you probably wouldn't know, right? If we hadn't watched that movie?
No.
Yeah, so I think they just assume most people haven't seen it, which is fine. Like, I think it worked. I think our problem is just that we watched it.
Yeah, we should not have watched the first fucking
No
Terminator.
one should watch that movie. It stinks.
That's such a mistake.
All right, what's your second one? Because that's the one I think we're really going to kick things into gear.
So, okay, at what point do we get to the future that are the futures that we see? Because in some of the futures we see, they have like laser weapons and stuff. But when will we reach that point? Because we're not getting there anytime fast.
Do you think we need Terminators to get there? Like, Terminators start killing us, and then we're like, oh, I get lasers now. Okay.
So we got to start building, right? Like, it's time.
It's funny how different this future is, but the same. Right? It's like, it's not Terminators. It's not Skynet. It's Legion, a new thing. That's also not Genesis. And it's a new thing. Well, what is it? Well, they made a bunch of robots, okay? And the robots all look like skeletons, okay? And we have laser guns, and we fight them in the dark. It seems like we pretty much just did it again. No, very different, guys. Legally, it's almost like this is a ripoff of Terminator, you know? Like, it's like... They couldn't use the word Terminator, but they could kind of get away with using most of the other things, so they just still did those, which isn't great. Like, it's not terrible, though. That stuff didn't bother me. I just more or less ignored it. Like, right. Because we didn't need to know what future she comes from. I don't understand why these movies even bother. The more you show us, the more we're like, well, then that's the old one. Or, like, why aren't you sending the tentacle? Because they got better robots in the future than the ones we see.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I still don't understand how Terminators work. And, like, not work, but... So, who says it? I think Grace says it. And she says the thing that Kyle Reese says in Terminator 1, which is like, it doesn't stop. It's gonna try to kill you. That's all it does. You're gonna get eaten up by this monster guy. I can't... Like, I've never had more of a problem with this idea that this is their best go at it than now. If this is really what the Terminators are after, the best way they're going to do this is send to this guy and have him do what he does.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
He's got him. There's so many points where it's like, okay, well, they're all going to explode in this car accident. You can't jump over and just kill them all. Like, you can't shoot the car. I don't know. They're just so uncreative.
We also never get an idea of, and we've said this before too, but like, why is this the... Like, how is this the answer? Like, going back in time and doing all the bullshit. Like, it doesn't seem like the correct answer. It seems stupid.
There's one thing that we learn about what the Terminators did in the Skynet past that when we learn it, I'm like, oh, way to go, guys. Not the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And it's like, this probably won't help, but I have always wondered this. I think there's one conceit that needs to be made in this universe, and it's so simple. I think we have to have a character try to send someone back in time and just say, like, okay, as we all know, the way these time machines work and the way the laws of time and space work, we can only send them in a 50-year gap or something. The furthest back we can possibly send them is 50 years from now. And if someone else sends a Terminator tomorrow, the furthest back they can send it is 50 years from tomorrow. Which is why these don't all show up at the same time. Which is why they don't kill everybody's grandparents and stuff. Because, yeah, it's so weird that they do things the way they do, especially... In past movies where it's like, oh, here he is now. Why are any of you not going to the time? Like, I could see it also working if it's just like, listen, we haven't perfected time travel. We just give them kind of a general zone of where and when to show up, and they're there. So this isn't the best time for our bad guy to get there, but this definitely isn't the best time for a good guy to get there, and they're just kind of going to have to work with it.
Also,
you know?
if the thing that makes John Connor so good is that he is able to know everything that Kyle tells his mom because of the whole, like, cyclical getting knowledge from the future thing from the past and so on and so on, they should all do that and just make more leaders. Like, the idea if one person dies, it ruins the resistance is stupid. It's a stupid thing.
Yeah,
like,
I was always under the impression that they never ever made the case for him in any of these movies. Every John Connor has been pretty bad in this regard, that he's just this charismatic leader of military perfect, everything.
But then he knows the future, right? That's like the biggest thing.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely a big part of it. But then when we get into this one, and she also knows the future, it's not only that she knows the future, it's that she's also just like great at giving speeches and uniting the people and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I feel like we'd get there eventually. Even without the person who knows the future, someone would be able to figure this out. And what we learned from this movie is it doesn't matter as long as you win your future, it doesn't matter if you send anybody back or not.
Yeah.
Because the future you did is the one you did.
And apparently, whatever future we eventually get to is going to send people back. It will happen every time, which is crazy. That's
crazy.
Dumb.
Like
come on.
It's crazy. It's crazy that we have a Terminator from the Skynet part of the world, like of the future, on the same timeline as a Terminator from the Legion part of the world, which for people that don't understand, Legion is just what they call Skynet. It's off-brand. It's like the RC Cola of Skynet. I don't know why, but there is a thing called Legion.
And it's also not Genesis, the thing from last movie.
No, yeah, it's not an app, thank God. Although it's kind of the same thing. It's like some sort of like integrated everything computer thingy that turns off all the power and stuff, which is like definitely going to happen at some point in real history. But it'll be a country.
Even so, both still make Terminators. So that's the other big thing.
Yep. And the Terminators can do roughly the same things as each other.
Yeah.
Like it's not like this one has big old tentacles. But
I feel like there was one in the future that had big old tentacles.
I know those do, but the ones we send back, because those I don't even call those Terminators, right? Because they're just like army guys. A Terminator seems specifically like to be the killers that go to terminate a single individual, right?
Yeah. And they still call them Terminators. That's fun. Like the two separate companies call them Terminators. Like, we know them as Terminators. But silly.
It's so weird that these guys are both in the same timeline, and when one is explained the other, that one doesn't go, wait, what? You're another me? Like, it would be as weird as if you God, I don't know. It must be like when they make two movies about Armageddon within a month of each other and they both see each other's trails. Like, oh no, we made the Armageddon movie too.
How embarrassing.
Come on. But yeah, it's definitely not the most effective way to do this. I think if you made a whole run of movies with robot Terminators and then you rebooted it and this one was a liquid metal Terminator, that would work, you know? Like, if there was a very specific design difference, and it's like, this is not only why these movies are more dangerous than the old one, it's why Legion is more of a threat than Skynet or something. But, it almost feels like, and they don't really get into this, but it's like Skynet is subverted, right? And like humanity wins in the Terminator 2 timeline. But it's not like we win and then we win the future war and we're all high-fiving and then Legion shows up, right? It's it's a completely different future. It would be kind of funny if it was like John Connor was like, oh, cool. We don't even have to worry. Shoot your guns in the air, boys. Lasers ever. And then just like a bunch of other Terminators came in and they were like, we were waiting to see if you would kill the other one. And now it's our turn. We are Legion. Good for us.
We did it, boys.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. Okay, now we have to talk about the weirdest thing in this movie. The thing that I think threw off a lot of fans. The opening of this movie. Do you want to describe how it starts?
Yeah, so I believe Sarah Connor is narrating to us about how, she prevented the... I guess we get a little bit of an
Something
overture
like that.
On Terminator 1 and 2. So fine, whatever. And then we get, she tells us that, and we did it, and we saved the future, and hooray. So I guess it's 1998, and they're in Colombia? Cuba? Some country with a beach.
Yeah.
So anyway,
one of those beach countries, Colombia, Cuba, not like America. So they are somewhere else. I can't remember.
So anyway, they're elsewhere, and weird young Arnold, a Terminator, comes in and just shoots John Connor with a shotgun right in the chest, kills him. 8-year-old John Connor, however old he is, maybe like 12 or something like that. Anyway, he kills John Connor, and Sarah's obviously upset. The Terminator runs away.
She's upset. Wah! I'm upset. I was hoping you wouldn't kill my son, but
distraught.
Now you did. Oh no.
She's distraught. She's in pain. She pulls out her gun and tries to shoot the Terminator in the back, but he just walks away. And begin movie 18 years later, or 22 years later, I think, because it's 2022 or it's 2020. Ugh. Anyway,
it's so short-sighted.
I know. They keep making these movies take place like a year from when they come out. Like, why?
Oh, I'm talking about Sarah Connor. Her whole like,
Oh.
I got it. We killed
Yeah.
we did it. Let's go relax on a beach. Like,
Yeah.
what happened at Doomsday Prepper? Maybe we didn't get them all, Sarah Connor. But
So anyway,
anyway,
so yeah, it's very confusing. How does she, or how do they send back a Terminator to kill John Connor in a future that doesn't happen?
so the way I understood this, and one thing I think is kind of clever about how this movie kind of explains that is they just sent back a ton of Terminators at the same time to different points in history, and they're just like, if you see John Connor, go kill him. And this is just one of those. That like, I mean, this really kind of not only subverts but kind of ruins all of them. The 1 and 2 is it's like those are all just one movie about killing one Terminator, when it turns out there were plenty of them just out anyway.
Yep.
Doing Terminator business, Terminatoring around. They never teamed up, but also, yeah, it was just like they could get you if they want.
Which is so dumb.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty dumb. I just like the idea that they didn't just send one at a time and go like, let's see if he can do it. Nope. All right, let's try one different one, but that's it. Like, it's just like they filled a giant box with Terminators, sent the whole box.
So my question is, why are fans upset?
Because they killed John Connor.
Oh,
little
okay.
Edward Furlong is like, and not just they killed him. I do feel like he kind of went out like a little, like a I don't even know how to what to call it, but like he didn't get a cool hero's death or anything. He just like Terminator walks up on the beach, pops him, leaves, and
that's
not
it.
great, John Connor. Although, excuse me, Sarah Connor looked terrific.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
that
so good.
de-aging was flawless. We have reached a point in our history where, besides Gemini Man, the movie all about de-aging, the de-aging is like perfect.
It really is.
Excuse me. Yeah, I really can't get over like all of the movies we've seen this year that have had some form of it, like Avengers and Captain Marvel and Irishman, which I've seen and you have not, but still great de-aging. And now this, I'm like, damn, some good old de-aging. Really, really, really good stuff. All right, DJ. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird also because it just dies, and then it's like that's the movie now. He's all dead. I don't know. It felt a little weird to me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely super weird. I just I guess that I could understand why fans would be upset. That is quite upsetting.
But I did like what happened with what's his name, with like the way that relationship developed with Sarah and the T whatever it is. It's a T800, T101, whatever that guy is. I thought that was fun, even though it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because then what does a Terminator do after it kills John Connor? Just hang out, I guess.
Okay, so yeah,
You know?
here's what I want to talk about a little bit. So fast forwarding whatever to the end of the movie, we hang out. Arnold plays, and it's spoiled by the trailer, but he plays as the Terminator who killed John Connor.
Yep.
Like, that's who he is. And we hang out with him, and he has a family now. His name is Carl. He has a very successful drapery business.
Loved it.
And he's got a wife and a kid, not his kid, but someone else's kid. And he's reliable and funny, and he can change diapers, and he's great. He's so great. I would watch a whole movie on how the Terminator gets from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Insofar as like, all right, I have a mission. I completed it. I'm stranded here in the past. I have no instructions. Now what? Like, that's the movie I would want to watch instead of this stupid movie.
I know. I really feel like the Terminator movies, and I think 3 kind of did this, but not enough, should pivot to comedy. Because we all know the premise, and there's so many little details that are just like, what are you doing? Like this, where it's just like, yeah, he's a robot man, a giant robot muscle man who is trying to find his purpose, and just at some point, and this I guess could be when you start the movie, just clicks like, oh, I guess maybe I'll just become a human, or like learn about human emotions. And that ends with him owning a drape business and like having a loveless marriage with some woman because he beat up her ex-husband or whatever at some point or something. I forget. He asks, I love whoever it was asks him, must be Sarah Connor's, like, hey, how do you even have a marriage? Like, she doesn't realize that she's laying under a 400-pound robot.
Yeah.
And he says, a relationship is not physical. Yeah, still, what happens when you jump in a pool of water or something? Like, she must notice something's up with you.
Or even like getting into bed, like, whoa, this is really leaning one way.
That tilted over again. She must know he's a Terminator. I hope, otherwise she is the dumbest woman that ever lived.
Yeah, like it would be funny if there was a scene, and this would totally go into the pivot to comedy. But if Arnold goes, "Honey, I have something to tell you. This is going to be hard to believe, but I'm a robot who was sent from the future who was killed to assassinate someone, and I did, and so I decided to just become a guy." And she's like, "Yeah, I fucking know."
Yeah.
You don't think I fucking realize that you're a robot, or like that you're clearly not human?
Yeah, you don't eat food. You've never gotten sick. You get cut and then you don't bleed, and also you're a robot. Like, you're a robot. You have no friends or family.
You talk like a robot. Like,
yeah. He's still not good at it. You know, he's not like he's not like the Rev 9 where after a couple of days the Rev 9's like cracking jokes and you know, whatever. He really is still like, yes, I did kill your son, Sarah Connor. I'm very sorry about it. Like, what? You can't have him be a little bit less. Even the one from the last movie was like still a little better at like being a guy.
Oh, God damn it.
He could. I don't see why not. Why make a robot that can speak in English but can't speak well, you know?
This whole body's a weapon. That's my favorite line.
Is that your favorite one?
Yeah.
So there were two. I think they kind of screwed up the delivery on the "This is Texas" line, but I liked that. Like, we learned that he has an arsenal of guns again, and something I've pointed out many times: guns that could not kill a Terminator, but whatever. And someone's like, "How do you get so many guns?" And at first he says like something like, "I've been stocking guns."
What he says is insane. He says, "Even without a Skynet or whatever Legion event, I calculate a 74% chance that humanity will just get totally fucked. So I need to protect my family." Like, what? Just gonna throw that there and leave it?
And then he says, also, "This is Texas." I feel like you could really like just because the first bit, like you're saying, not only is it not super funny, it just doesn't. It opens up a whole weird can of worms. But just the idea is like, you know what? Or like, why do you have all these guns? Pause. This is Texas, and then boom. That's all you need. The one line that I like laughed out loud at was so. And we're skipping ahead a little bit, but this movie is pretty much what you see in the trailer. There's not that much to it. It's like them going from place to place to place. It's a couple things, but like the Edward Furlong, or John Connor being dead, that's like kind of surprising. But so our team has learned, or they've made up a plan that involves getting an EMP and exploding it, and then killing the Terminator with that, which is a pretty good plan. Like it, you know, or even Arnold says like, or Carl's like, "This plan has a high probability of success," which. Not what I expected, and then we find out why. But then he goes to They go to get this EMP, and I think we check again in on the Rev 9 to see like what he's up to. And when we get back to our team, they're in a warehouse waiting for a character I'm not sure if we're supposed to know show up with the EMP, and we go mid-conversation into Arnold as Carl explaining a drapes situation he's dealt with, and like man, it was so funny. This is for a child's room, and they wanted to get solid drapes, but you need to get child drapes with a pattern of dogs or unicorns or something. It was so funny to me.
So
that's what I want, is like him selling drapes and stuff. That'd be super funny.
So there was the line that I laughed out loud was where he's explaining why he's like a dad now, and he goes, "I'm reliable, I make sandwiches, I change diapers, and I'm very funny." I don't know why. I just thought he like nailed the punctuation with "I'm very funny."
I like that line too. And I liked his relationship with Sarah Connor, where she kept just being like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you later. You're gonna get killed." And he's like, "Okay." Like that relationship, while weird and definitely, like we were saying with the John Connor thing, maybe the weirdest individual part of the movie, was pretty. I enjoyed it as something for her to do besides just go like, man, I don't like that. I wanna get killed by a Terminator.
And again, she was good. Like I thought Linda Hamilton was quite good in this movie. So
I hear she had a fake butt. Did you hear this?
Oh, really? I did not hear that.
I mean, she's like she's an older woman. I don't know how old she is. But they gave her a fake butt.
Huh.
Just like, I don't know why. It's 63, which isn't crazy. But I don't know where I read that or where. Oh, you know what? I heard on another podcast. It was so funny. Now I want to watch it again and see how obvious the fake butt is. But But yeah, I thought she sold most of the action. There's some things that like you can have what's her name, Grace, fall out of a plane, and I get it. And you have her like, tumble down the, what was it, the Hoover Dam. But you have Sarah Connor do it. It's a little much. It's a little much when the girl does it too. Any of them but the robots. But yeah, so loved Arnold. He was he was one of my favorite parts, I guess. What else you got, DJ?
So this was so weird. So there were so many times when the T9, Rev 9, oh my God, this is so many stupid names. The Rev 9 like could have killed Danny, but like doesn't. Like there's one part where they're escaping in a helicopter, and it takes helicopters like a little bit to like warm up. So he's already shown he could just have any gun, like that's one of his powers, or he could like make a spear and throw it. He's like bum rushing them, and it's like, dude, take a shot, blow up the helicopter, do something. You're bad at your job. You're just bad at being a Terminator. There are countless times in this movie where they just lets him get away because he's like, this fight will be better next time anyway.
Like, yes, I think that is crazy to me, especially the highway scene. There's so many bits in the beginning of the movie, like when the Rev 9 first notices Danny in the car auto shop, and he like runs to get her and like starts bouncing around on walls, and you're like, oh snap, this guy's taking, he's kind of a different, more acrobatic Terminator. But then there's so many points where like they have him surrounded and they just like saunter over. Like, who told you to do this? What is this fun for you?
It's so dumb.
And then, so, like, the Terminator, it's not like it's subtle, Like, it's not like it's part of its job is, like, kill Danny, but you cannot influence any other... Because it's driving around a big, giant car and killing everybody in sight. So why don't these Terminators just have a small bomb in them at all times? And just, like, if you get within 30 feet of the person explode, you'll kill her. Like,
that's a good point. Yeah, right?
I'm not trying to call Legion out, but it does feel just like the dumbest design flaw in history, that to kill a person, you usually have to get within feet of them to stab them. And you almost always can. It's that last foot, like the red zone of Terminator death is always where they fail. But you don't have to be that close to kill someone in real life, even without a gun.
It should be a suicide mission, right? Because if they do complete their mission and they shoot a 10-year-old with a shotgun, then they become Carl and they get a weird dad bod, and they've tricked some poor woman and her son into being in this weird relationship, and it's weird. They should all be suicide missions. They should all be set to blow.
Yeah, I agree. I don't get it. It's fine. I liked it, but it is weird.
Super weird.
What else about this movie is weird, DJ? Now we're probably pretty close to wrapping this up.
Yeah, there was like just one funny line where at one point, because the movie demanded it, they have to cross the U.S.-Mexico border from Mexico into Texas to find Carl, and they get caught by Border Patrol, and there's this huge Border Patrol breakout scene, and our buddy, the Rev 9, there's like two things. So there's one part in this line I loved where he walks through a metal detector and he's like, gonna set off a lot of pings, this whole body's a weapon, and the guy's like, yeah, save it for the ladies, pal.
That was pretty good.
That was good.
Seems like the wrong thing to say, though, Rev 9. I think what you probably should say is, hey, by the way, hip Afghanistan. He says that line afterwards. I do think they were both just great lines, and they were like, well, we have to say the Afghanistan one, but that first one's pretty funny. that was great. And
then this whole thing happens, and he's briefing the guys, and he's like, oh, there was a prison break, and this whole thing happened, and Sarah Connor, it was really terrifying, and they're like, oh man, that's crazy, and he's like, by the way, can I have a helicopter? Like, just like,
yeah.
It was really weird, and like it was like the end of the movie, so you could see, it was weird. You could see that the movie was doing like the Oscar music, like, all right, come on, hurry up, people got places to go, after parties to catch. So they were just like running through this movie, characters we hadn't seen, just getting EMPs. But then we had like 35 minutes of stupid action at the end, because that's all this movie could afford to do was stupid action. It was really dumb.
I know, and I really didn't like the end of it. But I think the part where it fell apart for me was when they stole the plane on the authority of one guy who was killed. Like, what? You could just have it if someone tells you you can't? Like, he's got to be the president to do that.
Yeah,
And maybe he was. Who knows?
this major, by the way, major, not very high. I mean, like
Yeah.
not low, but not. He's not a colonel or like a
Right.
general or even like a lieutenant colonel. He's a major, and he like these guys, Sarah Connor and Danny and the crew are all running through, and they're like, "Oh, stop!" He's like, "No, they're contractors. They're good," and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
like what the fuck?
Like, yeah.
Oh,
how good
this
are they? What?
Fucking
Yeah.
movie.
Now, I will say, speaking of the detainment center, this movie spent about 1 second being half political, kind of. Like, it's so funny, almost like with Joker. Now, I know people have different opinions on this, but I do feel like it was like, you know what, let's be about mental health. But, like, let's just kinda. Let's not get specific enough or tip our hand one way or the other. That's what this felt like, where someone's like, let's set it in a migrant detention center. Why? Because that's what it should be. What will the characters do about that? Nothing. Will they be good guys or bad guys there? Doesn't matter. They'll just be there. Like, it's not a cool place. Like, it's not like a fun, you know, it's funny how there's two scenes that are action scenes that are pretty similar. There's that one. There's the one that takes place right before it where they're fighting in the auto manufacturing plant. The auto manufacturing plant is like a fun place to have a big old fight. It kind of devolves into a sledgehammer battle between Grace and the Rev 9, where the fight is ended when the kid drops the engine on the Rev 9, which is pretty good. But I feel like you could have gotten more out of that location specifically. Whereas with this one, it's just a room with a bunch of cages. Who cares?
Yeah, and it's like I even understood that you had to have some kind of obstacle because your characters were in Mexico. They had to get to Texas. Let's see how that plays out. It was kind of heavy-handed with how they did the whole like border patrol kind of thing.
Super heavy-handed. Also, like, it has a drone, right? The Rev 9 has a drone at one point. Why doesn't it just dive bomb them with the drone? Does it do that? Did I forget it doing that?
It does. But luckily, Claire has like a spider sense. So if anything's about to go down, she's like, run! So that's good for the team. Spider sense.
True. But yeah, I liked her. I like Grace. It's Grace, by the way, right? That's who you're talking about?
Oh, right, Grace. I don't know why I said Claire. One syllable. It's got an A.
To be fair, good things. This movie, this was an R-rated movie. Characters were throwing curses around left and right. There were butts to spare. Apparently some fake ones I didn't realize. But like watching 5 and then this, 5 felt so sanitized and like for everybody. And this one did kind of feel like more of a shot at like, you know, a real kind of adult movie.
Oh, yeah, like gritty. They were saying fuck every other word.
Every other word. And they used some of those things as like in ways that I actually thought were pretty funny, right? Because like every so often Sarah Connor would say like, fuck you, right? Which is like, who cares? But there's one bit specifically that I loved where Grace has just shown up. I think Sarah is there too. I think this is Grace, Sarah, and the other one, a girl who doesn't matter. All team up. And Grace takes Sarah's phone and starts messing around with it. And Sarah's like, what are you doing? And Grace is like, future shit. It's fine. Whatever. And then,
that's great.
Like, stuff like that. I was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of how people talk. I don't know. I like, it wasn't the direction of this movie was fine. The writing of the movie, I think, was better than I expected. In terms of just, like, people writing things people say. One-liners. Conversations were good.
Yeah.
I don't know who. Let's see who wrote this. Whoever they are, try something else. Do something that isn't Terminator. It'd probably be pretty good.
No one should do Terminator ever. This is.
Yeah. Right.
The problem is there's nowhere for this franchise to go because every movie will be this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing left.
Do a fun comedy. Also, someone is revving their motorcycle like crazy outside of my house. It might be a Terminator.
Ooh, watch out. Lock your doors.
I hope everyone around him is impressed. So two people that haven't written a ton of stuff. Actually, that's not true. Billy Ray has written like the Hunger Games screenplay and like Gemini Man. So say what you will about him. And then David S. Goyer, who wrote like The Dark Knight and Batman v Superman and all kinds of stuff that like some good, some bad. Who knows? But yeah, all in all, I'm surprised at how much I did not like this movie.
You did not like this movie. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, like having seen Genesis, I think I really had a new respect for it, and yeah, it was fun. I don't know what you think.
The beginning was way better. I wish there wasn't so much stupid action throughout. It was too long. I didn't absolutely fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. See it on TV, whatever. If you're in love with the franchise, you'll like it.
Or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll be mad because they just shoot the little kid immediately.
It is crazy that they just off John Connor so fast.
Yeah. But
So
also
rude.
kind of like, I'm like impressed. It took some, it's not super risky, but it's enough of a risk. It's like, that's what we're going to do,
Okay.
It's pretty ballsy.
Cojones. Yeah.
Yeah, like just killing the guy in the beginning of it just cause. They just killed him. They didn't have to. He could just have another job or something.
Yeah, that's
she could
true,
hate the
actually.
Terminator because it ruined her life generally. They don't get along super well. It's a Terminator, whatever. But they didn't do that. But it's fine. I don't know. Thought it was pretty good. All right, DJ, let's get to our classic segment. You got anything to recommend for the people?
Oof, I do. There's an anime on Netflix that I started watching. It's Mobile Suit Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans. It's just 2 seasons, short run. If you're into like action animes, mecha anime, there is like an interesting story there. I don't even know if it's worth like getting into the plot. But like there's, if you know Gundams, there's these big like mecha suits that, they fight in. A lot of it takes place in space. The politics of it are very interesting. Nando, it has none of the stuff that you hate about an anime. Everyone's fully dressed. There's very few awkward characters. Actually, I got another one. If you liked One Punch Man and you didn't like One Punch Man Season 2, Mob Psycho, very good anime. It doesn't have any of like the superhero-y stuff that One Punch Man does, but in terms of an action anime and being well-drawn and really good scenes, really, really good.
Oh, and it's written by One from One Punch Man. Look at that.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, I did you tell me you weren't like a huge fan of One
be
Punch Man Season 2?
So I'm working my way through it now just so I can know what it was. And yes, the art is not nearly as good. And it's got like a story that's okay, but it feels much more all over the place. There's characters that like started off and I'm like, what happened to that guy?
So maybe check out Mob Psycho. Might be up your alley.
I honestly might, because I am looking for a show.
All right.
Yeah.
And then I'll give a third anime. I have not watched it, but Michelle just finished it. It's on Hulu. Fruits Basket. You would hate it. Basically, it's a slice of life anime, and from what I understand, the way it works is when 2 people of the opposite sex hug, they turn into their zodiac animal.
What?
Yeah, it's like a real thing.
That's a
called
normal thing.
It's called
Like
Fruits
forever
Basket.
Or just for a minute or two?
For like a little bit, not forever.
Oh, okay.
But it's like slice of life. So yeah, that's my anime corner for this week. My recs are all anime related.
Nice.
Looking forward to.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
Chinese Zodiac or American Zodiac?
Is it Chinese Zodiac or American Zodiac? Chinese Zodiac.
That makes sense, because some of the animals would be pretty OP. I mean, some of them would be in this too, but I don't think it would be fair if you got scales and someone else got lion. It seems like lions would kind of rule, but I guess you could still be a chicken in this one, which isn't great.
Well, you could be a dragon, right? That's like
that's all just people born in the same year, right?
Oh, so apparently in the show, Michelle's like telling me as it's going on, they don't turn into a dragon, they turn into a seahorse. So
that's the worst one.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then looking ahead, I'm hoping, like fingers crossed, that the Jedi Fallen Order game, the new Star Wars single player EA game, isn't terrible. I'm like, fingers crossed so bad that it's not terrible.
And Mandalorian.
And The Mandalorian, Tuesday.
We'll talk about it next week, but I don't think
we
we'll
will
be able to do a full mostly nitpicking on it.
So, those are all my recs.
Right.
I'm wrecked out, so yeah.
My recs real quick. I just saw The Irishman. It's very good. I don't want to talk about it too much. Besides, the de-aging is terrific. Go see it. If you love cinema and hate amusement parks, go watch it in an amusement park. That'll really piss off Marty. I don't know. Go to the theater dressed as your favorite Marvel character.
I bet there are people, like how you're saying, like, oh, there are people like his age or whoever who don't get Marvel movies. There's people our age who probably don't get The Irishman,
I think that's true. I think there's people our age that don't get a lot of his older stuff. I think this is just a really solid movie in terms of like you watch it and you're like, that's pretty good. You
All
know?
right.
And like it's entertaining. It doesn't feel long. I
Wait,
don't know. It just
what? No.
I know. It's a 3-hour plus long movie. And
It's a
doesn't even
3.5
feel
hour
long.
long movie. It doesn't feel long.
No,
it will
not
feel
really.
long. I don't care what I'm doing. I could be, I don't know, something for 3.5 hours, and it will feel long.
We will see, DJ. We will see.
I didn't want to
DJ.
get lewd, but you know. And all right, I'm done. What are we doing next week?
Real quick, we're doing a movie that was recommended to us by one of the fine, mostly nitpickers.
Thank you for your money.
I mean, thank the church. Gosh, don't thank the church. Thank the Children's Hospital for your money.
That's true.
Or for their money. They thank you for your money. But so we're gonna do. Do you have it open, DJ?
Nope.
Okay, I do. It's fine. I was a little not like confused. Okay, so someone named Jeff. Thank you so much, Jeff. And we had said during our Extra Life stream, if you donate $100, then we will do a movie you ask for on the show. So someone in our Extra Life stream donated that and asked us to do a movie called Home Again with Reese Witherspoon, which I have not seen. Apparently it's on Amazon Prime, which is wonderful. So we're going to do that next week. We'll talk about Star Wars and stuff, like Mandalorian, probably, assuming we do it before the Tuesday, or after the Tuesday, excuse me. But that's what we're going to do. So if people want to watch Home Again, I believe it's like kind of like a romantic comedy where Reese Witherspoon goes home again after living in the big city. Come on with us on that ride. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Alrighty.
Also, oh, sorry, DJ, you had something to say?
What? Nope, nothing. I'm good.
I was going to say also there was a hold on a second. I believe I thought there was someone else who had recommended a movie to us.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't find it. So if you also donated $100 or more on the Extra Life stream, and you can like prove it by just like telling me and being like, I'm this guy and here's my donation or whatever, please tell us, because I do believe there is another one out there. And you can tweet it to me or DJ or whatever. We'll find it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Week after that, not completely sure, probably Charlie's Angels. We'll let you guys know.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a poll. Also, quick Eliminator challenge update. We're down to like 8 people, so it's it's happening.
Who's well, we'll see. Not who's in the lead, because no one's in the lead, but we'll check back soon. I'm assuming some people will eventually be eliminated.
I mean, we're like a little over halfway through the football season. So we're quite a ways.
It's just a terrific season. Maybe the best season of football. It's the Daredevil 3 of football seasons.
Oh, wow. Fine. That's wow.
No, I don't think it's that good. The Saints are doing okay, but this could collapse like a house of cards at any moment because our quarterback is just recovering from an injury, and yet he is playing. They have decided to chance it.
We got 8 people.
Okay. That's not
and
too bad.
If the person who does not get eliminated is in first place because they're ahead by a lot from the points tiebreakers, we may be doing Crazy Stupid Love.
I like that movie.
So, yeah.
That's a good
we'll see what
movie.
happens.
I think we'll appreciate it.
But who knows? It could be doing Spice World, Trolls World Tour.
Oh,
we'll
yeah, that's
see.
true. You're still in this.
Oh, yeah. We're going to do Trolls World Tour.
You did Trolls World Tour?
That's what I want to do if the timeline works out. When does that come out? Trolls World Tour. April 17th. Yeah, I'll hold out. I will hold out for Trolls World Tour if I win.
You're saving yourself for Trolls World Tour.
Yeah. The McElroys are in it.
Oh, get out.
Is it? Yeah,
so
they're like.
It? You want to goose the box office for Trolls World Tour?
Yeah, duh.
It's smart.
Of course,
I'm sure they'll like it. They'll appreciate it. Maybe we can get them to shout us out on the show.
So, all right, yeah, that's it. I think that's it.
Well, we will talk to you guys next week. Not sure exactly when, but follow us on Twitter if you want to hear what I think of Mandalorian, and Lady and the Tramp and all the rest of the whatever Jeff Goldblum show, even though he's canceled.
Gonna be binging Disney Plus content. I might just stay home from work that day, man.
And a lot of people are, because there's other stuff there's X-Men Evolution, which is that'll be fun.
Yeah,
I like that show.
Free Solo, because all the Nat Geo stuff. If you haven't seen Free Solo will be on Disney Plus. That's another great documentary.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool.
All right. So we will see you guys next week. Until then, I am Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Woo!